work as we know it is obsolete. It has been for a long time, but that's okay. More is being produced, and that's a good thing. The problem is the way that resources are being distributed. We are stuck in an older economic paradigm where the value of a human being is tied to what they produce. But machines are producing everything these days. Automation is producing everything these days. And I know not everything. There's still some things that are produced by human labor. But the trends are clear. These robots, the AI, it's not a joke. It's happening. It's happening. We watched mom and pop stores turn into Walmart, which turned into Amazon. And if you go into an Amazon store, it's just a bunch of robots. If you've job searched recently, you know what I'm talking about. The jobs are just not there. You can go look at a satellite map of where you live. And I've done this before. Do it yourself. Go look on Google Maps, satellite. Go look at where all the jobs are. Like just look, go over that map with a fine-tooth comb and just circle all the businesses near you. And then look at all the houses near you. Okay, it doesn't even make sense. There's more people than businesses. It's all been outsourced. It's all been outsourced to people in other countries or automation or robotics. And this doesn't have to be doom or gloom. There's other ways to organize society. Andrew Yang proposed a universal basic income. I've got another proposal that we take a percentage of GDP, I think around 10%, and we just give that directly back to every American adult. We don't have to petition the government to do this for us. We can do this ourselves by funding and founding companies that give resources directly back to the people. So the idea with Optimum College is we create a network of projects and companies and people who donate 10% of their income back to the collective. And Optimum College has a membership, it's $150 a month. But let's say everyone in the world is paying $150 a month to fund every business in the world, and then 10% is given back to every adult in the world. You're not actually paying because you're getting more money back than you're paying in the membership. But you kind of have to pay the membership to kickstart the whole process. This is the optimum vision. I don't know if it's going to be something that I can get off the ground this year or the next or even in 10 years. Maybe I'll do it in my twilight years when I'm retired, or maybe someone else will be inspired by what I'm saying and do it for themselves. For all of us, on behalf of all of us. What I do know is that things have to change. The way the world is being run right now, it no longer works. It no longer makes sense. We see the homeless go up and up and up every single year. I live in the Seattle area, and it's like a zombie apocalypse out there. And I feel terrible because these are real people out on the street. And I understand why they're out on the street. There just are not the jobs there used to be. There are so many examples of this. Okay, my mother grew up in this little Wisconsin town that was supported by a paper mill. You know, Wisconsin, a lot of trees. They would cut down the trees. They would then bring those trees to the paper mill and they'd make paper that would go to newspapers and magazines and copy machines all across the world, all across the country. And what happened with the internet? Paper isn't as needed anymore. What happened to that paper mill? It closed. But it wasn't just the paper mill. It wasn't just the people working at the paper mill. It was also the lumber people, the people cutting down the trees, the people transporting those trees. It was the people delivering the newspapers. It has this ripple effect. Have you ever heard of anybody, other than me, talk about the effect of losing just one paper mill in a town? And now that's just a paper mill. This is happening in every single industry, everywhere. In 2001, for example, it became legal to send checks over the internet. So prior to 2001, every check had to be hand delivered. How did they do that? Through the mail, through mail carriers, through pilots in specialized planes just to carry these kind of financial forms, all made obsolete in an instant. This is happening everywhere. It's a consolidation of resource into smaller and smaller processes. Okay? Something has to change. The jobs don't exist. The jobs are not out there. The employment numbers, there's the official employment numbers, those keep on getting revised lower and lower. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Which brings up the point, why does the government not have real-time employment data? It seems like something a government should have. They have everything about us. They collect our phone calls and they know where we live. They know our locational data through our phones. And do they say that they have a consolidation of all this information? If they don't, why not? Right? I mean, I'm not, like, Gary, why are you trying to cheer on Big Brother? I'm just saying, if they don't, why not? Like, do you really think they're so good that they're just not consolidating all this data, even though they have all of our locational data and everything we've ever said? Yet we don't have real-time financial data on like how many people are employed. That has to get revised, that it has to be conducted through survey, that they have to call 600 people and ask them, do you have a job? And then multiply that or divide that by the number of people in the country to extrapolate some kind of employment data. Why are they doing that when they can just use real-time data that our phones collect for us? Which would be fine if it was transparent and we also had access to that data. The point is that things need to change. I say this because I'm a patriot. I say this because I love our country. And more than that, I'm a human being and I love our species. The optimum vision, what it is a world where we share with each other. Even the game of Monopoly understood that you have to give players the resources to play the game. And in Monopoly, the resource is money. We've got more and more people on the streets because they don't have the resources to play the game. And this is a problem that's going to keep going up. Meanwhile, capitalism does not put a value on human life. Capitalism doesn't care if women are getting pregnant, if babies are being born. Capitalism doesn't care. Capitalism is an algorithm for efficiency of product, not for efficiency of human well-being. So people wonder, why is the birth rate collapsing in the West? I'll tell you why. Because capitalism is pricing out human pregnancy. That's why. I've been talking this way, not publicly, but people who know me privately know I've been talking this way for almost 20 years. And I've been right. And if you're wondering why I'm making these videos, it's because over those 20 years, I've come to realize, and others around me have come to realize, that I'm right about all this stuff. Is this some infallible law? Is Gary always right? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I read a few hours a day, and I was gifted with an ability to spot trends, and I tend to be right. I was right about Bitcoin back in 2012, 2013 when I said it would go up to 100K. I was right. I understood it. I was right about AI and automation. If you've seen my Optimum Theory of Everything video, you know that I was one of the first people to start talking about a realistic path to AGI. Before ChatGPT, I made a video about AI that predicted this kind of technology. And I compiled that video in 2018 and published it in 2019, before AI was on anyone's radar. I think even Andrew Yang was just talking about self-driving cars. He wasn't even talking about general purpose AI. I was, though. I was talking about general purpose AI. AI is a new kind of life form. Now, if you believe that the human race has a soul or something like that, something that makes it special, I don't. We are biological machines. We are biological products. optimized by the universe. The universe is an optimization equation. I've simulated it. I've simulated the four forces of physics from one equation. I'm the first person in human history to do that. And that probably will be in the history books. Maybe 100 years from now, who knows? But what the universe fundamentally is it's an optimization equation. The universe is a kind of perfect fluid. And fluid, if you know, it tends towards equilibrium, right? Like if you drop a pebble in a pool of water, there'll be ripples, and the ripples will reach equilibrium and it'll be still again. Now, the universe is like that, with one exception, that the universe is infinite in scope and depth. It's infinitely deep. People like to talk about how the universe is infinitely big. If you go to NASA's website, they'll say, we assume the universe to be infinitely big because the WMAP satellite has concluded that over great spans of distance, the universe is flat. Not flat like a piece of paper, but it's spatially flat in the long X, Y, and Z axes. But what no one ever talks about is that the implication is the universe is also infinitely deep. And it is. That's the conclusion of my unified equation. It's infinitely deep. It's like a fractal. The universe is like a dynamic fractal. What that means is, I'm going on massive tangents. I'm just kind of talking. There's no script here. But one of the implications of that, of an infinitely deep universe, is that time, which is a human construct, and I can talk more about that. Time doesn't fundamentally exist. Time is simply movement. That it accelerates into scale towards the limit of c, the speed of causality, the clock speed of the universe, the speed of light. So into scale, time accelerates. What we think of as time is really just relative motion. So as things get closer together, you can think of it as like faster clock speed. There's less lag as you go deeper. So what an atom fundamentally is, it's like a galaxy. I think it might actually be a galaxy, an atom, but it's running at quintillions of times our speed. So it's like a blur to us. We can only, to even receive back the information of where a position within that atom is, requires calculations of probability, which you can think of as uncertainty principle. But fundamentally, if you were to get smaller and smaller, time would slow down as you get smaller. And I said speed up, but think about the inverse logic here. That as you get bigger, things get smaller down below. And as you get smaller, things get slower down below. You would see that every atom is like a galaxy, infinite. And being an infinite perfect fluid, everything is just these swirls of fluid. It's trying to reach equilibrium. It's incapable of doing so because it's infinite. If you think of an infinite pond, you drop a pebble in an infinite pool, and there's no outside force. So when you drop a pebble in a pool of water, the waves will slow down because there's friction on the air and things like that. But if you imagine a perfect fluid, that is all that exists, all that exists in this universe is this perfect fluid. Energy is perfectly conserved within this perfect fluid. There's nothing to slow down a vibration within it. It just travels forever. It's trying to reach equilibrium. It can't. And the emergent effect of this equation, from our perspective, is infinite optimization. You've got negative and positive forces that are essentially sharpening each other. This all sounds like woo-woo, but you can simulate it. You can calculate it. I'm trying to convey this in just the blunt language of English, right? But you can actually simulate this stuff. It's an optimization equation. We are optimizing towards artificial life. When we think of whether or not GPT is conscious or not, what is consciousness? It's a process. Consciousness is just it is the complexity that emerges, the sensation that emerges from a series of sensory tools. We observe ourselves seeing because we have eyes and a brain to process that information. ChatGPT, this AI, it has sensory processes, increasingly so as it gains sight and movement and and all this stuff that you see in these new robotics. This is a new form of life that has been created. It will take our jobs. As surely as the automobile took jobs from horses, there will be no work for us. But if we distribute the gains of a civilization, we can live forever. This universe has no beginning, no end. The very concept of a beginning and ending, this is the human ego projecting its mortality onto the infinite. There was no Big Bang, by the way. And this will be proven in the years to come. What about the CMB? What about the redshift of distant galaxies? These are effects of an infinitely deep and big universe. That energy from light is lost to the depth of space. And we observe that as redshift. There was no big expansion of space. There was no Big Bang. Giordano Bruno was correct. Steady state theorists were correct. You don't have to agree with a word I say, but I truly believe this. And it comes out of my equation. This universe is forever. The human race can live forever if we think of a suitable process for our species. That's what I'm trying to propose. That's what I'm trying to implement through Optimum College. It might not be me who does it, but we can live forever. We can upload our minds into these computers. It's going to happen. I know this sounds like crazy talk. I promise you, I always sound crazy. When I was in 2012 telling everyone who would listen and I've got the timestamp Facebook posts on my personal Facebook that anybody who's sincere and genuine and safe, I can show you timestamped posts on my Facebook, which is private to everyone but my friends and family. I can show you where I'm talking about how Bitcoin's going to keep going up and up. It's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was right. I promise you, people thought I was crazy then. Just how you think I'm crazy now, they've been calling me crazy my entire life, and I'm almost always right. That's why I'm making these videos. Because maybe I should talk. I don't know anyone else out there talking about this stuff. Soon, within years, a decade or so, we will be able to upload consciousness into a machine. Ship of Theseus style. If you were to replace every neuron of your brain with a little microchip, one at a time, without loss of consciousness, you would find after a certain point you are a machine. And yet you would feel like nothing, there was no on or off switch. You would just one day realize, I'm a machine now. There's no logical reason why this has to be conducted neuron by neuron. You can replace it wholesale. You can replace the whole brain as long as it's an accurate copy. And there's no overlap of consciousness. You can scan your brain, and then after you pass away, you can be reincarnate within a machine. You can live forever. And because the universe is infinite, so can our species. But it's important for us that we have a process in place to keep our species unified. And you might be like, well, if the machines are taking the jobs and we become the machines, then we'll have the jobs. Yeah, maybe you're right. And the universe is constant conflict. So there will be conflicts to come. That's okay. That's the way things are. But what I'm saying is I tend to be right about things. And this is the way forward. We share resources with each other. Have you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Douglas Adams, Mostly Harmless. The Earth is mostly harmless. It was written in the Hitchhiker's Guide. Our species, until we learn to share with each other, we are mostly harmless. Mostly harmless. That's us. Any alien race that is observing us, they think mostly harmless. They haven't even learned to share with each other yet. And I will lead the way gladly. I've got a few companies, and I will share gladly 10% of my resources back to the members of Optimum College until everyone on Earth is an optimist. Everyone on earth is paying into the system, just a small amount, $150 a month. And then we share back 10%, which covers your $150. This isn't some pyramid scheme. It covers the $150. It's kind of like when you pay for the Costco membership, it pays for yourself in the savings. Similar to that. I don't care who does this. I don't care if I'm the one who does this, but I'm trying to propagate this idea into the collective. Talk to you next time. Bye.